Hey, this is Kevin Pike with kpikemusic.com, and I'm here with episode 113 of my Look What I Made podcast. On this one, I've got a recording for you that I call Backyard Squirrels. It's from my album Saxojo, which was an album where I combined saxophones and banjos in as many different styles as I could think of. So this one kind of crosses into maybe a contemporary classical type genre. It's basically what I wanted to do is take a saxophone quartet, alto sax, tenor sax, and baritone sax, and combine it with a 5-string banjo. And I had, back when I was in college, I had written a piece for sax quartet called Doing and Remembering, which was a mixed meter piece, and I had the music for that still. And so I got the idea, maybe I could throw that onto this Saxojo album, but add a banjo part and get that weird combination. And as far as I know, I think this is probably the only 5-string banjo and saxophone quartet piece that anyone's ever written. I mean, probably there's something else out there, but one of the things I found when I was recording this is that it's almost impossible to get the saxophones in tune with the banjo. And so I don't know how you could perform this live. But in the recording studio, I recorded all the parts, and I was able to do enough messing with the intonation, just like redoing the parts over and over again until I could get them in tune. But saxophones are notoriously kind of a little bit off, out of tune, a little bit sharp, a little bit flat, depending on what note you're playing. So it's hard to get a saxophone quartet in tune to begin with. And then when you add a banjo, it is one heck of a challenge. So at any rate, I think I succeeded here, but it did require some studio magic, or at least basically it required time, because I just had to keep recording the parts until I could get them in tune. But this new piece, I call it Backyard Squirrels, because it reminds me, it's a very frenetic piece, and it reminds me of when I look out in my backyard and there are all these squirrels and they're running around, busy planting nuts, climbing trees. They also climb on the telephone and electrical wires in the back of our house. So they're just kind of nuts, pun intended there. So this piece, the way I recorded it was first, I did it in small little snippets. So I would usually start with the baritone sax, which kind of provides the bass part and is usually playing on the downbeats. And then I would add alto on the offbeats, and then fill in the other two saxes in between. And I actually recorded the entire saxophone part first, and then added banjo over it. So it was kind of like composing a banjo part for it, kind of just as I went, whereas the saxophone part was primarily something I'd already composed, like I said, back when I was in college. And on this piece, I decided to use metal picks on my fingers for the banjo, which is kind of the traditional way that American banjo is played in bluegrass, where you're picking and you've got the metal picks. I personally prefer to play just finger style, where I don't have any picks on my hands when I typically play banjo. But for this piece, I wanted to have the brighter, more percussive sound, and it gave me the opportunity to do some banjo rolls, but in a contemporary classical setting. So that's kind of what intrigued me about doing this combination of saxophone quartet with banjo. So this piece has a lot of mixed meter, and it also has kind of these bell tones where it's major and minor chords with the saxophone quartet, and then I'm also mirroring that on the banjo. And that was something that I thought would be difficult, but it was actually pretty easy, because most of the chords I was playing on saxophone, I just had to figure out what the inversion of the chord was, and I could do it on banjo. And banjo has basically 3 forms that you use for major chords and 3 forms for minor chords, and you shift it up and down the neck of the banjo. So I thought it would be difficult to figure out what to play over this. I almost had to relearn my own tune, because I had, like I said, I had written it years and years ago when I was in college, but I hadn't really analyzed what all the chords were. So I just sat down with the banjo and listened back to the saxophone parts, and then matched that up on the banjo with either a roll picking pattern or with just block chords that line up with the saxophones. So here it is, Backyard Squirrels from Saxojo. You can find this if you search any streaming site for Kevin Pike, Saxojo, and then look for the song Backyard Squirrels. Here it is. Hey, thanks for checking out my Look What I Made podcast. You can find out more information about my music at my website, kpikemusic.com. And if you're looking for my banjo recordings, search for artist name Banjo Cat on Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube Music, or any of the music streaming platforms.